All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello, happy Monday, good morning. I wish I was there with you all. I'm sorry that I am not. I would prefer to be with you. It's much more fun, much easier. But I'll learn a lot, and when I come back, hopefully I can use what I learned to make the class even better. Okay, so I hope you had a nice weekend. You have opened up the Nearpod, you made it through. You should have taken the pretest by now. If not, pause this and please go take the pretest. It is linked in the agenda, and I also linked it in the Nearpod. So once you take it and you submit it, then it'll show you the correct answers so you can see what context is around a word that you're looking at and the clues that help you figure out the word. Connotation is a definition or association we have with words that is not in the dictionary. If you would look it up, it's not listed, but you just learn it from being in society and over time. For example, the word ignorant also often has a negative connotation. People use it as an insult when the dictionary just describes it as not knowing. So I'm ignorant about a lot of things, which is not a bad thing, but we associate ignorance with being negative. Versus denotation is just the dictionary definition, and then you see an example of a multiple meaning word there. Okay, so up next, most of class you're going to be working on your 7 habits assignment. Also, if you didn't submit your 7 habits benchmark, please do that. Today's the last day to do that on time. So you should see what group you are in, and if you haven't finished reading your habit, then that is step 1, reading your habit. So if you need to see what you're assigned to, open up the 7 habits assignment here in Canvas. Open up your blocks breakdown, block 1, 2, and 4. For example, block 1, you go here, and wherever your name is next to, that's what you are responsible for, all right? So you can read your habit in the book, on the cart, or these are also PDFs that I have scanned in. You can read here on the PDF. And this is helpful if you don't finish reading tonight, or today in class, and you have to go home tonight and read it. You can read it here, so you don't take a book. All right. So I have one assignment that I want you to do while you are reading. It's the Reading Strategies assignment linked in the agenda. I have a Google Doc you can just fill out, or the substitute should have a paper copy available for you as well. So these are 7 of the main reading strategies that you would use in your life. So I want you to practice them as you read and write down here as you're practicing them. So number 1, previewing the text. So looking at the charts and the headings, you kind of preview what you think about it. So for example, you could say, based on the charts, it looks like this section of the book is about statistics behind being proactive, or it looks like there's a series of anecdotes about personal stories, something like that. Making prediction you would also do before you actually read. So based on all of these things, you predict that the section of the book will be about, whatever you think. Ask a question about what you're reading. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. It's getting late. Making a connection between what you read in your own life or another text or another movie or something like that. Make an inference. So that means that you read between the lines. When Sean Covey doesn't say outright what he means, he sort of hints at it. You use the hints to figure out what he's really trying to say. Describe something that was easy for you to visualize, and then summarize the chapter, which will also be your exit ticket today. Okay, so submit this when you are done in Canvas or on paper about your habit. Once you have finished reading, you're going to start making your presentation. Okay? So I have some templates for you. Again, in the breakdown document where you see what I assigned you and you open up the PDF, I have the word Google Slide linked to a Google Slide template. So someone in your group needs to open that up. It prompts, no it doesn't. You have to make a copy of it, so you go to File, Make a Copy. You'll name it, whatever you want to name it. Put in the block number. Make sure the habit number is in there. I'm going to write example just because I have too many of the same documents in my files. Once they have made a copy or you have made a copy, share it with the rest of the people in your group. So you need to ask them for their emails, or they can just fill out their emails here. Here it's your username at student.elenco.org. And then I also need you to share it with me, Kristen_Soper@elenco.org. Okay? So you can add more people. There I am, and you'll send it to me. Once you have done that, then you can fill it out. So figure out how you're going to split this up, if someone's going to do the notes and someone else does pictures and proofreading, or if you want to do the first 8 slides and someone else does the last 8 slides, or you split it by section of the book. You guys can decide, but you'll fill out your names here, presented by, maybe a picture here to get you started. You can introduce yourselves and define your habit. This would be a good place to define it. And then I have a slide for each of the sections of the book. So you can delete sections, add sections, rename them. That would especially be important where Sean Covey uses words that we don't actually use in real life. Because remember, a summary, and that's what you're doing here, you're just summarizing your section. A summary is writing the main idea in your own words. So you don't need to use his jargon that he uses, because it doesn't necessarily mean anything to us. So you can change the titles to what it's describing, and then you'll put bullet points here. Oh my goodness, it's not really letting me type. Gosh. Bullets here of the main points to help us see where you're going when you present, and also to remind you of what you want to talk about. So the really important things here are you are just bullet pointing phrases to remind you and to show us where you're headed. You are not writing entire paragraphs of what you're going to say. So you're not going to read off the slides. You can look at the slides and remind you of what you need to tell the class, and then you'll look at us, have eye contact, and explain it. So if you are just using bullet points, that'll help the clarity, the visual appeal of your presentation. It also helps you make the font big enough and have enough white space for us to understand what you're saying. 20 size font is pretty good. It automatically put it to 14, so that's maybe a little bit small. Then, okay, I'm sorry. All right, you're going to insert some pictures. So I would search the web. If you have saved ones from your computer, that's fine. But if you search the web, this is easy because it chooses images that whoever made the image said that you don't need to copyright it. So you don't need to make a works cited if you use this. So maybe I'm talking about using your language effectively. So I find a good picture that fits, it's appropriate, it matches what I'm talking about, it has good quality, it's not too pixely. Okay, so you can move it, make sure that it doesn't block any of your words, it doesn't make your writing hard to read. Okay, so then towards the end of your presentation, you may want to have a final point to remember, and then discussion questions. You need to have at least 2 to get full credit. You can have up to 4. This is what you will literally ask the class one by one, question by question, and then we will talk about it. So that means the discussion question needs to promote discussion, aka be open-ended. You're not asking for a correct answer. What is Mr. Covey's first name? We can't really talk about that. There's just a right answer. So instead, you would ask things like if certain facets of the habit are always useful or always credible. You could ask how to use the habit in real life, which part applies to us in our lives, stuff like that. A final takeaway, maybe you want to put a quote here. If you haven't done a quote yet, you need at least 1 quote to get full credit with the page number. You'll thank the class and ask for questions. So the class will ask you some questions about your habit here. Okay, so that is what you are doing. I talked about grading already, but you see what you need to have in the presentation itself. That's half of this grade that you've titled it, you have your habit number and title, you explain what the habit means, why it's important, how to do it, etc. You have a slide for each of the major points of the chapter, summarize, see summarized in your own words. Just bullet points, just phrases, no sentences, no complete thoughts. You explain what the habit is, how to carry it out, and why it's important. You have at least 1 quote with a page number. You have at least 2 discussion questions. It is neat and creative. That means easy to read. You can read everything and see everything. You have at least 3 pictures. So that is what you should be working on today. Once you have read your habit and you do the reading strategies assignment, work on your presentation itself. Tomorrow you'll finish your presentation and you'll work on practicing to present it. So that is everything that I believe I need to tell you. I'm in the building, so if you have questions, you're welcome to email me. I should be able to email you back. Otherwise, use this time to make a wonderful presentation. I look forward to seeing how they turn up.